All right. I am super excited to have my guest, Amina Mohamed, with me today. Amina has always had a passion for photography. And in 2018, she combined two of her favorite passions, which is photography and philanthropy, by creating Triple F photo tours. Amina takes travelers from Canada and the US on photo tours to Uganda. So welcome, Amina.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, I'm really excited to speak with you today. So you have a fascinating background
Yeah.
and a story that leads into why you started your tour company.
Mhm.
So please tell us why Uganda is a passion of yours and why you want to contribute to this developing nation.
Sure. So I was not born in Canada. We come from Uganda. When I was 3 years old, I'm going to age myself. I'm 52 now. So do the math. We came to Canada as refugees. All the Indians had been kicked out by then President Idi Amin. We had been given 3 months to leave our home. My parents were born there. My sister was born there. I was actually born in England, but I lived
Okay.
there until I was 3. And for me, Uganda has always felt like home. I grew up hearing amazing stories and, learning how to dance and listen to the music. And it was just always felt, if people asked me when I was a kid, where are you from? I'd be like, Uganda. Where are you? I'm Ugandan, but I would never say British or Canadian. It was just, it was part of me. And then I started working after college in film and television. And in 2007, I decided I was going to go back to Uganda for the first time to do a documentary about the Asians and the Indians who were starting to return back to Uganda
Mm,
to claim the properties and everything that we had lost. Um, and on that trip, my eyes, you grew up in first world Canada and you see homelessness, but you don't
mhm,
see poverty. There's a difference. And when I went back, my eyes were open to the immense poverty, but more importantly, the plight of women, females,
mm,
girls as young as 14 being married off because their families can't afford to keep them or feed them. And by the time they're 25, they have like 5 to 6 kids and they've not had education. So they
wow.
don't understand the benefit of education and the cycle of poverty continues.
Mhm,
Gender inequality, a guy will get a job just because he's a guy, but not because he's qualified. And a girl
right.
might be qualified, but not get the job. So we see that here too, but
Mhm,
it's just, it's more enlightening when you go to a country where the unemployment rate is in the 20s and 30s percentile, where here it's much less. So the
mhm.
differences really spurred me to want to do something, but at the time I just didn't know what to do. So yeah.
Wow. It's interesting how you say, the difference between poverty and homelessness. When you wrote a guest blog for me on my blog and had sent me pictures to put in, and I got goosebumps when I looked through your pictures, the pictures of the children in the slums and how
Mhm.
life is in the markets, and it was fascinating. And it's your pictures tell a story in themselves,
Mhm.
but yet in those pictures, all those children were still smiling.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that you will come to appreciate when you go to Uganda.
Mhm,
You will, you'll see the beauty of Uganda. Like it's called the Pearl of Africa for a reason.
mhm,
It is incredibly green. It is one of the poorest countries, but also the richest in natural resources. However, the people will grab your heart and hold on to it. They don't complain. They have nothing, but they will give you the shirt off their back, and they
wow.
don't complain about anything, because nobody's there to listen, right? And they've been resigned to it, but they will always have a smile for you.
Mhm,
They will always welcome you with open arms. And when you leave, you will cry because, or I do at least, because I leave my heart behind. Those people are my home.
mhm.
Uganda is my home.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So your tours that you take there include a gorilla trek
Yep.
and safaris
We
and a
do two
chimp trek.
safaris.
Two
So some
safaris.
tours will only do one safari. We do two. One is
Okay.
a drive-through. You have to stay in the vehicle because the lions and the leopards, although elusive because they've been reducing in numbers, they're still there. But there is the only walkable safari in East Africa is in Uganda, and it's called
Oh,
Lake Moboro. So you get to actually get out of the vehicle, walk amongst the zebra and the giraffe and all the other, amazing birds that you'll see. Uganda is home to over 1,000 species of birds. It's incredible. And I was like literally within 100 feet of the zebra and 200 feet of the giraffe. And you see nature and walking
mhm.
in the tall grasses, as my guide was telling me where to step to avoid the possible snakes, because they also have a lot of snakes. But it was quite incredible. It's not like going to the zoo, right? They're wild animals, but
Yeah,
you still
yeah.
get to walk. But it's about respecting nature at the same
Mhm.
time, respecting your environment.
Oh, it just gives me goosebumps. I love animals,
Hmm.
and seeing them in their natural habitat like that, I have not been on an African safari yet,
Oh,
but
you have to
you
do
make
it.
me want to go. I want to go right
I've
now.
been to
So,
Uganda so many times, and 2018 was my first time that I was
oh,
able to do a safari. And on the first safari, it was like I was like just eyes wide open and
yeah,
not wanting to miss anything, because it is.
yeah.
And when you come home and you go to the zoo, you can't relate. You can't have the same
No.
appreciation, and you look at the animals in a different light because they're captured and they're trapped. Whereas you see animals and nature in its environment happening in the moment. You see a lion tackling. I didn't get any of those shots. I didn't get any experience, but I could just imagine you know, you get to see lions chasing other animals, taking them down, their prey, right? One thing that always I will remember is the um, the lions, which we've all recently read about in Ishasha, which is the southern part of Queen Elizabeth National Park. 6 lions have been killed in recent weeks, poisoned and slaughtered,
Oh,
because the hardest hit part of the economy for Uganda is their tourism
yes,
industry,
yes.
and they rely on that industry. But people don't see the beauty that they have. They don't appreciate it. They see it as a way to earn an income to feed
Hmm.
themselves and their family. So I had to look at it at both ways. But having visited those lions and having made eye contact with a cub as it was walking down the tree, and being able to snap that photo and having those memories, that's what this is all about. And it, like you're saying goosebumps, I get goosebumps just remembering it.
Hmm. Hmm. And I have somebody who says, wow, definitely want more info on this.
Oh, great.
She had someone request for it today. She's a travel agent.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
yeah,
And the one
yeah.
thing I do want to tell people, the difference between us is that while we focus on bringing amateur or enthusiast photographers, because I am a photographer,
Hmm.
we're very invested in teaching you while you're on an excursion, helping you get the shots that you're going to be bragging for years to come,
Hmm.
because it's very different being here not knowing how to operate your camera, and then you go on safari and everything's happening so quickly and you have to
Yeah,
capture the shot, and not knowing how to do it, you're going to come home disappointed. So what I do is, when you book your travel with us, whether you're interested in photography or not, I have a free Zoom call where we jump on a call before we even leave for Uganda, so you are comfortable using your camera before we've even left. Because the last thing you want to be doing is fiddling with your camera while you're trying to
exactly.
get the shot. And
Yeah,
nobody
because
else offers that.
no, and I mean, you don't want to miss
Mm.
anything, right?
And I don't
So
either, because I
yeah.
don't like, right, like fiddling with your camera. So yeah.
Yeah, which brings me to my next question is your tours are not it's for those who want to experience and not just see. So
Yes.
how immersive do your tours get?
Absolutely immersive, because it's not just, for me, it's not just about seeing the gorillas and the chimps and the safari and the beauty. It's about immersing yourself in culture.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't like going on trips where you go on a trip and you've never met any of the locals. You don't see how they live. You don't understand their way of life and their struggles. And that's a big part of for us. So we
Mm-hmm.
work with a local tour company in Uganda, Rwenzori Safaris, who leads our tours. That money goes to support his company, his family, his
Excellent.
community, right? And it pays down. Um, then we work with local drivers, local tour guides, locals for everything. We also work with another two girls who started this amazing company, Adventures with Locals, where they take you on a walking tour of Kampala.
Oh,
And
nice.
this week I had another discussion with a local tour company who does birding. So by spreading out the experiences amongst all the suppliers that we can, we not only give you the best experience, but we support locals. Then it's more immersive because you get to understand the difference between the 54 different cultures that exist in Uganda, the difference
Wow.
between their dress, their dance, their language. You get to learn how to dance with them, how to drum, how to cook a meal. All of those things are so important because it really, really throws you into the culture and
Mm-hmm.
makes you uncomfortable. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're uncomfortable, that's when you're going to have the best experiences. That's
Yeah.
that's you know that's our opinion.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's what's going to change you.
but then when you talk about immersion, it goes further because we have a not-for-profit side, Cameras for
Mm-hmm.
Girls.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the 18-day tour, 16 days on the ground, 2 days for travel, we carve out 3 extra days. And we train 15 girls who are endeavoring to become journalists. So not only are you seeing Uganda, getting to improve your photography, but you're getting to meet these young women who are trying to make an income, make a life for themselves. They've gone through school, but in that school program for 4 years, they might have touched a camera maybe 1 to 2 times
Mm-hmm.
because there's 600 students over 4 years and maybe 100 cameras. So imagine how many times they actually get experience.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between North America and Uganda or any developing world is you're not given the tools for your job.
Right.
So they come out of university, they apply for a job, but they'll never get paid. They'll never get a job like published or an article published because they don't own a camera and they don't know how to use it to take photos to accompany their articles. So
Mm-hmm.
we come in and fill that gap. We give them a camera, we give them a 3 day training plus a 2 day field experience with a local NGO that happens after I've sent all of our guests home to Canada, Europe, or US. So that field experience allows the NGO to get much needed imagery. And in turn, they give access to these girls to come in, work with them, and document the work they're doing. So now
Mm-hmm.
these girls will write an article, have images that they can present at a job interview when it comes to times to applying.
That's
So
beautiful.
once I get back to Uganda, or Canada rather, I continue that training online for a
Mm-hmm.
whole year. We go through all aspects of photography. We work on Zoom, Facebook groups, WhatsApp, and then I do bi-weekly videos for them to give them a new aspect of photography. And then they give me, we have monthly assignments so that they're really cementing what it
Mm-hmm.
takes. Because I don't want them only to have a focus on journalism because there's only so many jobs to go around. I
Mm-hmm.
want them to learn a skill that they can take out into the real world and say, okay, well, journalism's not working for me. I'm going to start offering my services as a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll briefly tell you, sorry, a little bit more before I briefly tell you this story. Um, After the year-long training, I also help them build a resume, a cover letter, and a LinkedIn profile so that they're fully equipped to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the statistics are sad in the developing world for females and for girls. They're married off, like I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
They're missing school simply because they're girl and education is not free, and the families will choose to educate their boys over a girl because they don't believe
Yeah.
education is a right for girls. Or if they've made it that far to get university, because people will say to me, but they got to university. Many cases, they've had to leave their family home and be supported by an NGO in order to make it that far.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine how lonely and difficult that can be, only to realize that there may not be a job for me at the end
Right.
of this. Um, so one of my girls who I've been working with post course, on her resume, on her LinkedIn profile, has been applying for a communication job. She got the job, but she was told that she either had to pay for it with money or pay for it with sex. And this is a reality for many of the girls. So we regrouped. We are reworking her to help her keep improving her photography skills. But she's so talented and has such a good eye. She has now said to me, I'm going out there, I'm going to offer my services, and one day I will be successful with that communication job, but I refuse to give up my myself for just for
Wow.
a job, you know. So that's what we're also teaching them, to be strong
Hmm.
in their self and have the confidence
Hmm.
to carve out the life that they want and deserve, not something that somebody else has derived for them.
Wow. I'm just going to make one note. What is an NGO? I know
Oh,
the
sorry.
travel
Yep.
industry is full of acronyms, and
Yes.
some people may not know what that is. So what is an
Sorry.
NGO?
It's a non-governmental organization.
Hmm.
So in Uganda or in developing world, you will see countries littered with NGOs. Some of them, admittedly, are doing amazing work. They take the monies that they fundraise and actually put it towards the people.
Hmm.
However, some of them don't. And so I have a I won't say hate, love relationship. Because when I went to Uganda for the first time, there's Uganda, Kampala, which is the capital, is made of 7 hills, now 8 hills. The people they're supposed to be helping should not be still living in the slums while they're living it up in the hills in the fancy houses, using the money for those purposes. So that really upset me. And
Hmm.
I'm not painting a broad brush, but it happens a lot. So I really think we need to be careful. And I'm not an NGO, I'm a charity, not for profit. I'm, governed by a board. I do all of those things, and our money, because some people might be interested to know, our money is very little right now. I raise through GoFundMe, personal savings, all of that, and I'm working hard to raise funds so that we can expand outside of Uganda. I want to do
Hmm.
this in more countries that have the need. I can't say that we would lead a photography tour to every country because it's for safety reasons we can't, but we can definitely change lives on the ground,
Hmm.
where it counts.
Awesome. Do you have any other countries that you have in mind right now that you would
Yeah,
expand
I've been
cameras for
approached
girls in?
by organizations and photographers in Mexico, Costa Rica, Afghanistan, and the Congo. So we're talking to see how it can happen.
Hmm.
I've built a full course. I'm now working on putting it on like on a platform like Kajabi, so that when we have people, I can't go all over the world leading, and tours and teaching all the time. So if we have a platform and a training guide, they can take it and work on that, and help more girls in their community to come up.
Hmm.
So it's a long-term plan, but I'm not daunted. I'm not giving up.
Awesome. That's excellent. That's excellent. So for the people that are watching, I just want you to just imagine that you can change the world just by traveling.
Mhm.
And Amina, you have a passion for photography and philanthropy and children. How does your personal travel improve the lives of the people that you meet when you're in destination?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, whenever I go, I don't like to stay in, fancy resorts and hotels. I like to find an apartment in where the locals are, because
Mhm.
that's how you learn what life is like. That's how you get to have these amazing discussions and, really understand their point of view. We
Mhm.
all come with our biases when we travel,
Yes.
right? We read blogs. Well, now it's blogs. Back then it was we read photos, travel guide, or whatever. And they're always written with a bias to make you come, to make you travel there, because it's about spending money and seeing the
Mhm.
beauty and all that stuff. But where do they ever talk about what the struggles are for the locals, or what their challenges are, or what their life is like on a daily basis? How
Mhm.
that mom, walks, or that girl walks 10 miles, 20 miles each day just to collect water, carrying on top of her head both ways, just to have clean water from the one well that the community at Mass has to share. And the sad thing is there's no proper garbage disposal. So that same water is littered with diapers and garbage and what have you. So what are they actually drinking? We don't see that because the tours that you go on or the excursions that you book at the resorts take you well away, so you don't see that, right? But we make sure that you see that, because what we want to do is make sure that when you come home, you have a real appreciation for how you get to live in Canada, the US, Europe, first world. We're always complaining, God, my cell phone doesn't work, my this, that. First world problems. I always
First
say to
world
my husband,
problems.
he's
Yeah.
never come with me, so he'll complain about something. I'm like, first world problems, come to right? And they get tired of me saying it, but it's
Yeah,
true.
but it's true.
Everybody travels to a third world country at least once. I hate the word third world, developing country, at least once. You get a real appreciation for what you have back home. You forget that your cell phone is not working, or you lost internet for a couple of hours, or Rogers went out, right? And then so many people were like so angry. But what about that person here who doesn't have, even here in Canada right now, people are struggling. We talk about the Indigenous in the North who don't have clean water, electricity, housing. We talk about the homeless. Yes, it bothers me even here, the homeless. I'm a Rotary member, and one of our big goals is to make sure people have food here. A lot of our neighbors have lost a lot here during COVID. So while I support my students in Uganda, because right now they don't have food, they don't have, the necessities because COVID has hit them hard, I'm also vested in helping our local community. And I think people have to look outside of themselves and do the same.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
travel, regardless of whether it's international or domestic, you're meeting people. So take the time to understand their lives, their culture,
Yeah,
their
exactly.
religion, their way of dress, right? Understand what life is like. And I totally believe that if we were to get rid of the barriers that separate us, like religion, how he or she dresses, how he or she looks, all that garbage and their skin color and all that stuff, man, this would be such a beautiful world. It really would.
It would be, yeah. It is all about meeting the people and the human connection with travel and learning from those people. And I know with travels, I haven't been to a lot of developing countries, but when you do travel, you realize how much we don't need, like so many things that we have that we really don't need.
No.
And they don't make you happy.
No, they don't make you happy. You
Those
think they
things
will
don't make
make
you
you
happy.
happy, but they don't. Yeah.
No.
Experiences make you happy, right? Travel makes me happy.
Yeah.
And meeting people and understanding their lives. And Ugandans are very shy about getting their photos taken. And street photography there is like, it's incredible because it's so colorful. But the one thing I've learned, and I teach our travelers, is that ask for permission. And that's not just in Uganda. Ask for permission wherever you go, because what you see as different and beautiful and incredible, they might be ashamed to share because they're living below their means. And for them, they're afraid to show that to you. But when you open up yourself and have a conversation and you really get to know what they're like, they're going to open up themselves. And that's the one thing I'll always do, is I will hold up my camera and I'll ask for permission. And if they say no, I bless them and I go my way.
Yes.
But if they welcome me to have a conversation, I will then ask them if I can take their portrait. Sometimes it's still no, and many times it's absolutely, because they're understanding that I'm talking human to human, not,
Yes.
not differentiating them in any way.
Not there to
Not
exploit
shaming
them.
them.
Yeah, yeah. It reminds me when we were in Tangier in Morocco and our guide had taken us in the streets and there was a lady bathing in the fountain and he said, do not take her picture. That will really upset her, because for her, for someone
Yeah.
to just come take a picture of her doing that, that would have really offended her. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we
yeah.
have to have that sensibility of first world versus different world and or developing world, and really understand what what is happening in front of you.
Hmm.
What's your goal for capturing that photo? Is it because you want to get on Instagram and show everybody, or is it really because you're documenting life?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I love street photography.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah. Now, we both believe that travel alleviates poverty, strengthens family and community, and changes the traveler's worldview. Share with us an experience that someone on your tours or one of the girls that you have coached, how that has, in your photography courses, how that's affected them and improved their lives.
Yeah. So I can tell you about our last training. And unfortunately, in 2020, we had to cancel because of COVID. So our
Yes.
last one was August 2019. And my traveler, Kim, came from Canada. She had a goal, like she had a dream to go to Africa since she was 5 years old. And she was turning 60. So she was giving herself this gift. So she'd never been out of Canada. She was choosing whether to go to Peru or come with us. And in the end, I convinced her to come with us. She had no idea what it was like in a developing world. She had no idea of the culture, how different it would be. And it is a culture shock when you first see it. And throughout the tour, she kept on exclaiming how poor everybody was and the poverty level. And it just kept on, like it was a repeating mantra for her. And and on my one hand, I was like, well, focus on other things because poverty is there regardless. It's not going anywhere. But if you look outside of that, underneath it, you're going to see all the beauty that exists. And it took her a week to sort of release that and understand what she was seeing. And when she met the girls, she was beside herself because she has two older children and she couldn't, she, it broke her heart, as it does mine every time, to see these young women. They want a life, they
Yeah.
want, to be respected for their points of view, for their skills, for their ideas, and they don't always have that opportunity. And it really hit home. And she's now still, like a year and a half later, she keeps in touch with the girls. She
Oh,
follows their
beautiful.
journey. And we allow that. We love that because what it does for the girls is open up their world to how we live here and the opportunities that may exist outside of Uganda. But it also opens up their eyes to the kindness and the generosity. And not, it's a difference between, feeling sorry for somebody and giving a hand up, not a handout, a hand up. Right. And that's what we're all about. We don't want you going to Uganda and making them feel bad about themselves because that is their situation and they
Yeah.
understand it. We want you to empower them. It's about empowering people.
Oh, I absolutely love and respect what you do. And I think you'll find me on one of your tours when they
Oh,
start
good.
up
Yeah,
again, because
absolutely.
it just sounds like just such an incredible experience for everybody, for the communities you go to, for the people on your tours. It just sounds fantastic. So, Amina,
And I just want to like make one thing clear is we do not do, and I don't remember the term, but we don't do paid tourism, meaning that if there is, we don't get you in a car and say, hey, we're going to go in a bus now and we're going to drive through this community and, you're going to pay the people to have lunch like they do on the Mexican tours. That drives me crazy because are we really seeing the reality of their lives? No, we're seeing a contrived look at their lives, and so that's very different for us. So
yeah,
we won't do any of that kind of tourism.
it's not a luxury tour.
Mm-mm, not at
No,
all.
no.
Well, it's luxury in how we make you feel and what
Yeah.
we show you.
How you change the heart.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, Amina, if people on this call are listening, want to find you, where's the best place to find out more about you and Triple F photo tours and
Yeah,
cameras for
absolutely.
girls?
So there's two websites now. We used to be combined, but they can go to triplefphototours.ca or they can go to camerasforgirls.org.
Great. And like I had said earlier, Amina wrote a blog post for me that is on a wandering web travel or wanderingweb.com. So if you want to see more of her photos and the people's lives that she touches, that's there as well.
Thank you very much.
So thank you so much for your time today, Amina. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. This was incredible. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Have a fantastic day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.